Prince George's County, Maryland. So you think about moving here and you're like, I really want to move to that area, but I want somewhere that's walkable. I don't want to have to use my car, or I want my car to be an option. Well, we're actually going to talk about the most walkable cities in Prince George's County, and we're going to get into that right now. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brittany Stinney, a realtor proudly serving the DMV area. And just in case you haven't heard, Prince George's County is often referred to as PG. So if you hear me say that, PG means Prince George's County, okay? But look, whether you're looking to move to PG County in the next 9 days or even the next 90 days, see right there, that's my contact information. Let's connect and let's find what is going to be your new home in Prince George's County, Maryland, or you look at somewhere else too. But today we're focusing on Prince George's County. Now, like I just said, we're focusing on PG, but who knows where we're going to be next on this channel. So you want to make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss out on any of the areas that we talk about here in the DMV. But now that I've stopped talking about myself and how we can connect and become friends, let's get into the most walkable areas here in PG County, Maryland, or Prince George's County. You know what I'm saying. So I always think it's important to think about like walkability, if that's important to you, because once you find the house, you can't move it, right? But let's talk about what you can find around you to see if it's a good fit. If it's important to you, right? You want to think about walking to a coffee shop or parks or transit. Like, we're going to talk about all that, and we're going to rank those cities in PG County. We're not going to talk about every city here in PG, but we're going to talk about a specific few that rank highest in terms of walkability. And then we're also going to talk about the housing prices, home types, and exactly how close is each spot to DC. Now, if you're curious about how each spot is close to other areas, drop it in the comments. We can always discuss that. But right now we're going to focus on DC. If you're talking about Baltimore, we're not doing Baltimore today, but maybe tomorrow. Okay, but let me start off first by saying Prince George's County in general. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So PG sits just east of Washington D.C. and is roughly 967,000 residents, and it's actually Maryland's second most populous county. And the cool thing about PG County is it's anchored by multiple metro lines. So you have the Green Line, which is like up in the Greenbelt area, and then you also have the Orange and Silver Line to like that New Carrollton area, and then the Blue Silver Line to downtown Largo. Now, a new addition that's coming to this area is the Purple Line, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but that's actually going to plan to link Bethesda College Park area and to New Carrollton, and that's expected to arrive in late 2027. Now, I personally feel PG County could use some love with the Metro Line, because I personally feel like the Metro Line could go a little further than what it does. That's just my thoughts. Let me know if you agree in the comments, okay? But let's get back to the walkability. When I think walkable, I personally think when I come out the front door of my home, how quickly can I get to amenities and grocery stores? But for the purpose of this video, I'm actually going to lean on to a walk score. And this is on a scale of 0 to 100, given us walkscore.com, ironically. But this score gives an estimate of how easily you can do like daily errands on foot based on your proximity to amenities, as well as a whole route analysis. So let's talk about what each score means. So rating 90 to 100 means it's a walker's paradise. 70 to 89 means it's pretty walkable. It's very walkable, actually. 50 to 69 means somewhat walkable, so you might need your car. And then 0 to 49 means you are definitely going to need your car, because it's more of a car dependent area. So let's start off with number one. The number one spot in terms of walkability in Prince George's County is, drumroll please, Hyattsville. Now, Hyattsville is given a walk score of 69, which again means it's very walkable. And let me tell you why it's walkable. So you have the historic downtown area, as well as the Arts District corridor along like that Route 1. You have cafes, pubs, if they call it that. I don't really say the word cafes, bars, retail, and parks. And those are usually going to be within like a short walk. Now, when you think about transit and your proximity to DC, the Green Line of the Metro at the Hyattsville crossing, as well as West Hyattsville, and these are going to give you access to like direct trains taking you to Gallery Place. Now that's going to be about 12-minute driving to downtown DC, and of course it depends on where exactly you're starting in Hyattsville and where you're landing in DC. That just kind of gives you a quick snapshot. Now when we think about housing, the median home price is around $412,000, and you're going to have a mix of 1920 craftsman homes, Cape Cods, colonials, and then you're going to find some newer homes more towards the art district with more townhomes and condos. All right, so our number 2 spot goes to Mount Rainier. Now, I always feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. Feel free to judge me in the comments. Just be nice about it, y'all. But Mount Rainier is given a walk score of 70. Now, this is considered like a streetcar suburb area, and the grid itself is kind of tight. It has a little bit of an art scene. When you think about more like that historic district where there's more shops and restaurants, that is actually given an overall walk score of 82. Proximity to DC from this area is about 8 minutes driving to downtown DC. Again, depends on where you're going to DC. And then you also have quick bus links towards like Rhode Island area, the Brentwood Metro, and then you have the West Hyattsville Green Line that isn't too far from you. Now, when we think about housing, the median home price is around $456,000, and you're gonna have a little more older homes. Think craftsman's bungalows plus some renovated cottages. Now, our number 3 spot goes to Brentwood, and Brentwood is actually given a score of 70, which is considered very walkable. Now, Brentwood is considered small, right? Just north of DC. Is walkable to different cafes on Route 1, as well as the neighboring city of Hyattsville and Mount Rainier and the amenities that you find there. When you think about transit and how quickly can you get to DC, it's about a 6-minute drive to downtown DC. And then the closest metro line is going to be your Green Line at the West Hyattsville or Hyattsville crossing area. When we think about housing, the median home price is around $401,000, and you're going to find more early to mid 20th century detached homes, as well as some duplexes and townhomes nearby in that area. Now, let's get to our next number 4 spot, which is Riverdale. And Riverdale has been given a score of 63. Riverdale has that historic town center and the mixed use and the station at Riverdale Park. Now, this might be important to you because if you are very particular about your grocery stores and if you're a Whole Foods diehard, you're gonna find it in Riverdale. And there's lots of daily like retail needs clustered together near there. And even though it's not in Riverdale, I will also just point out that Riverdale is very close to College Park and Greenbelt, which also has another good amount of amenities. And we're going to talk about some of those coming up. But let's talk about like transitioning, like if you needed to get into DC from Riverdale. You have the Mark Camden line, which stops at Riverdale, and then the College Park UMD Metro is very close. Now, again, that purple line that I've mentioned, that's actually going to add 2 Riverdale Park stations. We're expecting that to be delivered in 2027. But if you talk about driving from Riverdale to DC, it's about a 14-minute drive to downtown DC. Okay, again, I know I say it every time, y'all, but it depends on where you're starting in terms of that drive time. Now, when we think about housing in Riverdale, the median home price is around $475,000 to $484,000. And you're going to find a mix of historic bungalows, colonials, and some new townhomes, right? And even lofts closer to the station area. So there is some new construction starting in that area. Number 5, it's actually one of my favorite areas in Maryland, but that is College Park. When I think College Park, I think walkable. I actually think it's very walkable, but they were actually given a score of 53, which means somewhat walkable. Let's unpack that a little bit. But UMD, the University of Maryland, right? The campus downtown area, that's packed with cafes, grocery stores, and other amenities around in that area. So the walkability does improve in those areas, but citywide, when we think of College Park, the score is lower due to like the suburban surrounding areas. But in terms of proximity to DC, you have the Green Line at the College Park UMD station, and you also have the Mark Camden stop. That purple line that we keep talking about, that's actually going to connect through the campus towards New Carrollton and Bethesda. And if you're thinking like, okay, that's cool, but if I just want to drive, how long is it going to take? You're about 15 miles outside of DC. Now, the housing market in College Park is around $441,000 in terms of the median home price. You are going to find more detached homes, student-focused apartments, garden condos, and even new mixed-use homes near the metro stop. Now our number 6 spot belongs to Laurel. And Laurel is given a walk score of 53. Now here in this area, you have a main street with restaurants and shops. And if you want to think about transit to DC, you have the Mark Camden line at Laurel Station. And then driving wise, you're about 23 miles outside of DC. And if you want to talk about Baltimore, just to give you that reference, you're about 22 miles to get to Baltimore. So it's actually kind of a great midpoint. And I brought that up for that reason, because I know we haven't talked a lot about Baltimore on this video, but let's show Baltimore some love. Now for the housing in this area, the median home price is around $454,000. And you're gonna have a mix of vintage detached homes that are gonna be near like that Main Street area. There's also some condos and even some townhomes in the area. Now our number 7 spot, I take that pause because this one was interesting to me, but the number 7 spot is given to Greenbelt, Maryland. Now, before you come for me, I personally love Greenbelt. I actually was surprised it was ranked as one of PG County's one of most walkable areas, because when I think Greenbelt, that would not be my initial thought. But as I, was preparing for this video, I kind of see how they got there, and let me tell you how they did. So the overall score of Greenbelt is 41, meaning it's car dependent overall, and then some parts are walkable. So that really just kind of tie into what I was thinking. But let me tell you more about why it is walkable. So when you go into like that old Greenbelt area, there's a good amount of restaurants there. There's some co-op housing, and that area is a very walkable town center. Now, elsewhere in Greenbelt, you have more suburban, like citywide walk score of 41, which means less walkable. But I will also add that you have like over in that Greenbelt station area, a good amount of housing there, and there's a lot of shops down there as well, so that could be considered walkable. And I think this also defines what distance do you want to walk to this store. In my mind, if it's like a couple miles, it's not walkable, but let me know if you feel differently in the comments. But let's talk about the transit to DC, right? And we'll even talk about Baltimore again, but you have the Green Line here, and that's actually going to be at the Greenbelt station. And when it comes to the Mark, you have the Camden Line, which also serves Greenbelt, and you're going to be about 16 to 27 miles driving to DC and Baltimore. Now that's why I kind of love Greenbelt, because it's a good center point between DC and Baltimore, and I also think that's a great feature. I know we're talking about walkability, so I'm getting off track a little bit, but I think that's great about Greenbelt, because let's say you have somebody flying into DC at your Reagan Airport, right? You're not that far away. If you have someone driving into BWI, you're like equal distance. Now, if you have someone flying into Dulles, why? That's gonna hurt, but let's get back on track to the video. The average home price in Greenbelt, or the median home price, I should say, is around $349,000, but there's going to be a range. You definitely can find more or less in that Greenbelt area, and you are going to have more garden apartments, condos, co-ops, like we already mentioned, and then you also have townhomes. And then you also have a good amount of single family homes. So you have a little bit of a variety in Greenbelt. Some quick honorable mentions, since you stayed down to the end, is New Carrollton. And that's a big transit hub. You have the Orange and Silver Metro. You also have the Mark and access to the Amtrak. And the walkability, honestly, just varies depending on where you are. And then Bowie, right? This is the county's largest city. We got to show Bowie some love. But Bowie is a highly suburban city, and it has pockets of trails and centers. The overall walkability of Bowie is about 25, which is why it's not ranked high on this list, but we got to show Bowie some love, y'all. Let's just look at this like a leaderboard, right? When we talk about walkability, let's run it back. Who's on our leaderboard? Hyattsville at number 1, Mount Rainier number 2, Brentwood at number 3, Riverdale at number 4, College Park at number 5, Laurel at number 6, and Greenbelt bringing it in at number 7. Let me know your thoughts. Do you disagree with that list? Do you feel like there's some areas that I totally missed, or do you think this is pretty spot on? Now let's talk about which one would fit for you. Your opinion might be totally different, and that's okay. It's a free world. But Hyattsville and Brentwood and Mount Rainier they're very artsy. I don't want to say hippie. I'll say, yeah, definitely not hippie, more artsy. Hippie's more like Tacoma Park, Maryland, Montgomery County, but in my opinion. But Hyattsville, Brentwood, Mount Rainier are more artsy, quick DC access, older homes, and some beautiful architecture. Riverdale, that's going to be more small town feel, with the kind of that mixed use center and strong transit prospects with the purple line coming. Now, College Park is going to be a little more student, academic, and commuter focused. So you want those are usually individuals who want, trains and campus energy. Sidebar, if you're interested in finding a home in College Park, stay tuned to this channel because I have a new one coming at you in a few weeks. Back to the task at hand. Laurel, you want to think more classic Main Street feel, true, it's kind of a midpoint, right, between DC and Baltimore. And then Greenbelt, this is for lovers of planned communities, co-op living, leafy setting, think parks. I've actually lived in Greenbelt before. I love it. That's why my face kind of lights up a little bit more, because the parks and trails and all the things, it's just such a cool place. Okay, so let's talk about DC. I know we talked about it a little bit, but let me just give you the quick rundown in terms of miles driving to DC. Okay, so Mount Rainier, you're gonna be about 8 miles outside of DC. Brentwood, 6 miles. Hyattsville, 12 miles. Riverdale Park, 14 miles. College Park, 15 miles. Greenbelt, 16 miles. And Laurel is going to be 23 miles. Now, again, that's driving. And again, that's going to vary depending on where your start and end point is. But let me also just remind you too, you have trains from the green, orange, silver, and then additionally you have the MARC trains that might help with that transit time. What do you think about this list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you find that there's some areas that are, as I mentioned, that are not walkable at all, or some that you feel are great? And if you live in these areas and you love the walkability, drop it in the comments. We would love to learn from you as well, right? This is a community sharing. But if you have any questions, and let's say you don't want to drop it in the comments, you don't want to do this public type forum, feel free to hit me up on my contact information. You see it right there. It's right there on the screen. Call, email, text, virtual call, whatever works well for you. Virtual call is probably the best option if you want to ask some questions in real time and get them answered relatively quickly. Plus, I just love to see your beautiful, handsome face, right? So let's hop on a call. Other than that, I will see you on the next one.